On Channel 44. I am Mercy Gashegu Sembatia, and I will be joined shortly by Livingstone Kawesi for sign language interpretation and translation. Today we are bringing you both local news in brief and international news in brief. We will start with what's happening around us here in Uganda as compiled by Bill Clinton Nuohereza. The South African president has revealed that in a press conference on a 3-day Uganda-South Africa investment, trade and tourism industry in Pretoria, and that South Africa is also interested in Uganda's oil production. South Africa is the second biggest economy and is looking at supporting Uganda to grow its oil sector and enable it investing in Uganda, and expressed their strong views that they should work.
These young people, these ones here, when some of us are still here, we can help you to build a new force, of patriotism, because now neo-colonialism has failed. Neo-colonialism has failed. People in Mali, people in Burkina Faso, people in Nigeria itself. Nigeria. Everywhere they are harvesting the bad fruits of neo-colonialism. So what do the progressive parties do? They must help to create a new force, to use the failure of neo-colonialism to build now real African freedom.
Well, in other news, Ugandan lawmakers have welcomed freshly the anti-homosexuality bill. After a 2-week-long recess, the Speaker commenced a plenary session yesterday where Bujiri Municipality Honorable Asuman Basalirwa tabled a motion to process the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, which prohibits same-sex relationships in Uganda. His motion was seconded by Mr. Jonathan Odur, who is the Erule County South and Member of Parliament, and Mr. Charles Onen of Gulu East. On this particular one, Right Honorable Banita Among, who is the Speaker of the Ugandan Parliament, thanked the promoters of the anti-homosexuality bill for the socio-economic development they have brought in the country, but added that they do not appreciate the money of the promoters of homosexuality, whose intention is to destroy the African, later on Ugandan culture.
As passed by this Parliament, to enhance our cherished values and beliefs in God and sanctity of culture, concerned that on 1st of August 2014, the aforementioned important piece of legislation was declared unconstitutional, albeit on procedural irregularities and not on merit of the same, convinced that homosexuality is a human wrong that offends the laws of Uganda, threatens the sanctity of family, the safety of our children, and the continuation of humanity through reproduction. What we are talking about is not new. When this country was colonized by the British, they actually left a law with us on homosexuality. In fact, the Penal Code Act that the colonizers left in this country banned homosexuality.
I now put a question that Honorable Asuman Basalirwa be granted leave of this House to introduce a private member's bill, the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023. Those in favor stand the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Well, that is it from our local news update as compiled by Bill Clinton Wahereza. Now we'll go straight into our briefly into our international news update. In the trending news on the continent of Africa, in Nigeria, the ruling party candidate Bola Tinubu has been declared the winner of Nigeria's disputed presidential election. The 70-year-old veteran politician got 37% of the vote, according to official results. His main rival, Atiku Abubakar, polled 29%, and Labour's Peter Obi, 25%. Their parties had earlier dismissed the poll as a sham and demanded a rerun. Mr. Tinubu is one of Nigeria's richest politicians and based his campaign on his record of rebuilding the biggest city, Lagos, where he was governor. He was nevertheless defeated in the city by Mr. Obi, a relative newcomer who mobilized the support of many young people, especially in urban areas, shaking up the country's two-party system. Mr. Tinubu won almost other states in his home region of the Southwest, where he is known as a political godfather who helps put others into office. He campaigned for the presidency under the slogan, "It is my turn." In his acceptance speech, Mr. Tinubu called for reconciliation with his opponents. He said that they had the right to challenge the results in court, but said that the lapses in the election were relatively few in number and were immaterial to affect the outcome of this election. Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari is stepping down after 2 terms in office, marked by economic stagnation and growing insecurity around the country, from an Islamist insurgence in the northeast to a nationwide crisis of kidnapping for ransom and separatist attacks in the southeast. And elsewhere, the state-run news agency in Somalia says at least 10 Al-Shabaab militants have been killed in a security operation in the central Hiran region. It said those killed in yesterday's engagement included 3 senior commanders of the Islamist group, adding that the National Intelligence Agency and international partner forces were involved. Al-Shabaab has lost large areas of its territory in recent months in the face of an offensive by Somalia's military working with the African Union, US forces and clan militia, but it continues to launch attacks in the capital Mogadishu and some neighboring countries. Elsewhere, French President Emmanuel Macron is starting a 4-day national tour of Central Africa with a visit to Gabon as France reshapes its strategy on the continent. This follows its troops' bruising withdrawal from Mali and Burkina Faso. He won't visit them or any of the other Sahel countries where Paris has been blamed for failing to curb the Islamist militancy. Both Mali and Burkina Faso have now invited in Russian mercenaries, but French diplomats hope Mr. Macron's tour will counter the increasing Russian and Chinese influence in Africa. Well, that brings us to the end of this afternoon's News in Brief. Thank you for watching Channel 44. We'll be back with Bill Clinton Wahereza and myself at 4 p.m. with business news. Stay tuned to Channel 44. Pastor Jessica Kayanja is coming up next with the Marriage Now program, the lunch hour program that is aimed at helping us grow spiritually and enhance our spiritual lives. So stay tuned. You'll be tremendously blessed. She is inviting all of us, especially the women, the chief intercessors of a family, on the 8th of March, which is Women's Day, to come. It's a power-packed day of prayer and fasting and pulling down altars in our homes. Therefore, do not miss it. Next Wednesday on the 8th of March. Stay tuned to Channel 44 and enjoy the rest of the viewing. I remain Mercy Gashegu Sembatia, together with Livingstone Kawesi. God bless.